Samuel Johnson, the famous Londoner who compiled the first dictionary, once said, "When a man is tired of London, he is tired of life, for there is in London all that life can afford." But Dr. Johnson never saw Sydney. Sydney, two cities 16,000 kilometres apart. What lies between, Dr. Johnson and his dictionary would never find words for. This is the 2000 London to Sydney Marathon. Welcome to one of the world's great sporting events. The London to Sydney Marathon was first held in 1968. Now, 32 years later, drivers from more than a dozen countries are lining up to battle the landscapes and the elements in perhaps the ultimate test of man and machine. A trail of dust will be left as this mechanical whirlwind rushes through 13 countries on 3 continents, from Europe to Asia and then Australia. The event will be run in accordance with the FIA, the world governing body of motor racing. All cars are pre-1971 and comply with full rally specifications. Once the cars leave London, the next 16,000 kilometres will include 59 special stages covering more than 1,300 kilometres. Every stage will be a race against the clock. The team with the fastest overall time when the cars arrive in the Olympic City 32 days after the rally begins will be the winner of this prestigious event.
Yeah, I think you need to win the first 5 by the time you get to Australia and see how it pans out from there. There's a fair bit of the rally in Australia. The conditions are quite hard, so if you're in the top 5, I think you've got a good chance in Australia.
And there are too many chances to predict that winner.
All kind of dramas for sure, you know, and different countries and different problems, but I think that will be the interesting part of the rally.
I think Hannah Meckler and Stig Blomqvist and Michelle and all those have got a lot of experience. We've done, this is the 4th major long distance rally. We've finished them all. We finished well up on the last one. Plans are just take it easy and get to the finish.
There will also be a special non-competitive touring event for modern cars. They follow the same route as the rally drivers, but at a much more leisurely pace.
Going all the way to Sydney from London is a pretty special opportunity. We're looking forward in particular to being in Australia.
Each team has paid $36,000 US for the privilege of competing. And by the time they reach Sydney, every single person on this rally is adamant not a cent would have been wasted.
What will make me happy is being able to look back on 32 days of really good, fierce competition with between 95 cars that have come from 16 different countries around the world. My ambition really is to see all of those people having a good competitive run, no problems, no dramas, and I want to see as many of them as possible get to Sydney.
Day 1. 2 competitive stages totaling 15 kilometres. The whole distance for the day, 677 kilometres from London to the French city of Metz. It's a pleasing start for Australia's Rick Bates and co-driver Jenny Britton in their Porsche 911. They show the experience gained by winning last year's Panama-Alaska Rally isn't going to be wasted in this global challenge.
It's a fairly long way, so we'll just try our best, obviously, with Stig Blomqvist, Hannah Meckler, Michelle Mouton, all ex-World Championship pace people. It's a very tough field, but 32 days, anything can happen. We'll try our best to see where we can come.
They claim both stages. A warning to their rivals, the Porsche is going to be leaving dust in the teeth of many of the chasers.
I think we both wondered how much of a pasting we'd get from the old masters, and we didn't want to be too demoralised, so we were a bit anxious, I suppose, yes.
In the second and third spots are the two Ford Escorts of Charles Golding and Hannu Mikkola. The former world champion is keeping driving in the family, with his son Juha the co-driver, who only completed his first rally just a week earlier in Ireland. The multi-international team of Sweden's Stig Blomqvist and Australia's Ben Rainsford are the day's fourth fastest. Their impressive Ford Capri Piranha V8 doesn't miss a beat. And proving the marathon is a rally for both sexes, Frenchwoman Michelle Mouton and co-driver English gentleman Francis Tuthill ensure two Porsche 911s are in the top 5.
So I am happy, but I am not thinking at all about it. I even don't know what time I did in the first stage. I have no idea. I know that I am fourth because somebody told me, but I don't know what is the difference or anything. I just want not to have any pressure at all.
Car number 2, the V8 Mustang of Terry Daly, staying true to its pre-rally promise of keeping it together, finishing day 1 in a strong position, but taking viewers on a bumpy ride through the forests of England.
Crossroads turn right, point 1. Point right, hard right, hard right. Through narrow gate. 4-7, we've got a hard left. There's a dip. The road curves right as well, so it's a dip and a crest over the right. It's a dip, then the crest, and the road goes right, that's it. Then slippery now, slippery down here.
Only 2 stages down, but the rigour of the day takes its toll. Tow ropes and jerry cans are in high demand for some competitors. Others arrive happy and unscathed. At the end of the first day, the Bates Britain Porsche is 12 seconds ahead of Team Mikkola. Blomqvist is just 6 seconds behind in third. The Ford Escort pairing of Damon Harvey and Ollie Clark is a further 12 seconds behind, just 1 second ahead of Mouton. Richard Martin Hurst, John Leopard, Mike Corns, Simon Lingford and Willie Polsnig complete the top 10. The sights of England are soon to fade from the rear vision mirrors of 95 rally cars. But Bruce Hodgson and Steve Wall are left wondering what mirror they've broken. After completing just 1 stage in a journey that was to take them halfway around the world, their adventure is seemingly over before it's begun.
It's pretty shattering, I can tell you. Being the only Australian that started in the whole 3 marathons, and now it looks as though we've stopped. But I'm still going to try and see if I can get it going. But I'm not that hopeful. It's the first time I have used a motor that I didn't build myself. So there's a moral in that.
All of our sponsors and all of our friends, unbelievable. And to do this to them, and we've got 32 days holiday in Europe. What a great thing.
At the end of the second stage, the cars make their way through the villages of South England. for the Australian contingent, it's a long way from the brick houses and tiled roofs of back home. They reached the chalk-white cliffs of Dover and board the ferry for the 90-minute crossing of the English Channel. It's a much more leisurely way to cover this famous stretch of water than Australians like Des Renford and Susie Moroney discovered in the past. The French people make every competitor welcome. This rally is not only a race, but a journey through different cultures, a journey that is hard work. By the time the field reaches the overnight stopping point of Metz, every driver and co-driver is in need of a good pillow. It's been a long day, 15 hours, and many more days ahead that promise to be even tougher. Day 2 and the mechanical whirlwind is on its way to Nuremberg, Germany. The two tarmac stages are longer and more testing than the opening day. 13 and 9 kilometres respectively through some of the most picturesque countryside in Europe.
Fantastic trip to go to Australia and to cross Australia. This was my dream. I don't think at all about competition. Of course we will have to, because you know everything can come back, and but I have no pressure at all. I am just really looking for a long, fantastic trip and trying to have fun.
The power of a V8 is a blessing for Blomqvist and Rainsford. They relish the steep hills, finishing third and first. It's enough to take them to the overall lead, 3 seconds ahead of Bate and Britton, who dropped back to second after placing 4th and 6th. V8 power is the order of the day as the Ford Mustang of Terry Daly and Bob Brill take the second fastest time in stage 3 of the rally.
Coming up, we've got a right, then a left with a drop on the right on the second one.
But the day's most eye-catching effort belongs to Mouton and Tuthill. Moving into third place overall after a brilliant drive on stage 1 sweeps them to a 5-second victory. It's not surprising, because this is Mouton's backyard. She knows the roads ahead will be much tougher, but for the moment, the rally is a chance to enjoy being at home.
To the finish.
Mouton's burst pushes the Mikula family back to 4th place. But it is a trouble-free day for the Escort team, coming home 15 seconds ahead of Richard Martin Hurst and Tony Davontier, who, like Blomqvist, prosper from the power of a Piranha Capri. It's little wonder France is a leading tourist destination in Europe. When the drivers have the chance to admire the landscape, they see hundreds of years overlooking the country. The buildings aren't the only ancient timers here. The tradition of grape growing is much older than the dust that settles in a wine buff's cellar. Day 3, Nuremberg to Prague, 353 kilometres, including stages 5 and 6 of the rally of 8 and 12 kilometres. And for the second day running, the grunt of Blomqvist's Piranha V8 leads the way.
No, it was good. It was two complete different stages today. One was twisty in the beginning, okay, a bit fast in the end, and the other one was flat and fast all the way.
It's a day for speed to rule. The top 5 teams all average above 100 kilometres an hour during the second stage. The Mouton Tuthill Porsche on top-shelf Michelin tyres continues an impressive climb through the ranks into second spot. And despite surrendering some speed on regular road tyres, the Bates Britain 911 sits comfortably in third, just 11 seconds behind Mouton.
Jenny, day 3 and you're still in the top 3, but you've got some problems?
A few. We've got a broken shock absorber at the front, which Rick is trying to replace at the moment. And our tyres aren't particularly suitable for the conditions we've got at the moment. It can get better, I think.
Terry Daly leads the charge of the Mustangs, trading places with the Mikola Escort for third place honours for the day. Little Ford losing out to Big Ford on stage 5, but the positions reversed on the quicker stage 6. After losing an oil pump on day 2, the Escort of Ollie Clark and Damon Harvey limp into Prague, missing a piston ring. And a long night of inspections and mechanical work lies ahead for a number of competitors.
We just sort of coasting along and trying to get it through the stage. We had an all-nighter last night trying to repair it until we can get hold of another piston ring. So that's the reason why we've got all this smoke pouring out of it.
When the times are tallied at the end of the day, Blomqvist and Rainsford hold a 13-second advantage over Mouton and Tuthill. Just 59 seconds separate the top 5 teams. The only Datsun in the top 10 belongs to Stuart Wilkins and David Lowe, 2 minutes, 19 seconds behind the pace setters. They reach the border to the Czech Republic and drive into their 4th country of the rally. They pass through more villages, so many rich with history. Families have lived in these same homes for generation after generation. Unlike the drivers who are basing success in this rally on fast times, people here don't mind if the clock moves slowly. But they do manage to keep in time when they welcome the crews. Festivities along the way are a pleasing distraction for all the entrants. It's a chance to break the concentration and forget about the long hours behind the wheel and undoubted problems that await them. Day 4. Leaving one of the most intriguing cities in Europe, the marathon competitors face a 620-kilometre trek across 3 countries through Austria to Budapest in Hungary, along with 2 stages of 15 and 16 kilometres. The trip is a welcome change for the drivers whose skills are tested on dirt. Few are better than former world champion Hannu Mikkola.
You're a former world champion. You've been right to the top in rallying. What does this kind of rally mean to you? I mean, is this fun or are you still taking it seriously?
This is fun, but we take it seriously. We haven't got that kind of pressure what we used to have in the World Championship rallies. But still, I can see Michel, Stig, everybody. We are not letting it go, So we are fighting over the seconds, but a nice way.
In a sport often dictated by fractions of a second, Mikkola blasts away all but one of his rivals on the day's second stage. He slices 17 seconds off the leaders to jump into second place overall.
And what's the report card on Juha? How's he going?
He's doing fantastic, you could not tell that he's actually, as a beginner for this sport, he's really doing well.
Se menee vain, ja tässä jatkuu seuraava. 300 niin samanlainen jatkuu yli. Lähtee kvartaan vasemmalle, siinä vaiheessa menee yli totta. Joo, täällä. Kvartaa oikealle, menee tien yli ja sitten kvartaa vasemmalle.
But no one can match Austrians Ernst Harak and Michael Kolbach on the second stage.
Well, it's an interesting day today with stage 2 being on your property. Does that give you an unfair advantage?
Yeah, sure. I know this stage, and we're running every year a rally there. Very often I'm on this stage and I'm rallying there too, so I really know it. I have a little advantage, but I think the other cars are so much better at the moment that will not be that advantage what I hoped.
He sets the fastest time, an incredible 28 seconds quicker than Mikkola. Fellow Austrian Willy Polsnig isn't as lucky. He hopes to challenge Harak's time, but struggles in the dust from Australia's Terry Daly in a Ford Mustang. After setting the fastest time on the tar in the first stage, overall leaders Blomqvist and Rainsford find the going much tougher on the gravel. The road tyres don't grip, and the Piranha becomes too slippery to handle at high speed. Blomqvist backs off. He knows there is a long way to go. Tyre choices are critical. Mouton takes a smart choice with intermediate tyres, which slow her down on the tar, but add to her speed on the gravel. She manages joint third placing with the Bates Britain team on the second stage. Porsche 911s are rewarded for taking a conservative approach to the mixed racing conditions. Not every Porsche team is successful. Other drivers are nursing dented panels. Although still young, the London to Sydney Marathon is taking its toll. After 4 days and 8 stages, Blomqvist and Rainsford increased their lead to 15 seconds. Hannu and Juha Mikkola are 5 seconds ahead of the Mouton Tuthill Porsche, and Peugeot makes an appearance on the leaderboard thanks to Ernst Harak's home knowledge. The cars leave Budapest. Their next stop, Targăgui in Romania. The day would cover a total distance of almost 700 kilometres. A short stage begins day 5 kilometres. Long enough for Blomqvist to continue his domination. The Piranha rockets to an average speed of nearly 122 kilometres an hour. While Blomqvist and Rainsford sit comfortably ahead of the chasers, an interesting duel is developing between the Porsches of Bates Britten and Mouton Tuthill. They are vying for overall honours in the C class, and as yet, neither team has been able to shake off the other. Just 4 seconds separates them at day's end.
3 kilometers.
Celebrations for Terry Daly and Robert Brill. Driving the only Mustang in the lead pack, they finish 4th in the opening stage, then take the honours in the 10 kilometres second stage, averaging 118 kilometres per hour. It's a consistent day for the Mikkola Escort, 6th in both stages. Hannu laments the lack of power he has against the V8, but he's not worried. He believes the most telling parts of the rally won't come until the cars are tested in the Australian outback. That is still 2 weeks away. Until then, the teams faced the hardest challenges Eastern Europe has to offer. For the V8s, such challenges are chewed up and spat out. Richard Martin-Hurst and Tony Devontier nudged the 200-kilometre mark in their Piranha to maintain 5th spot overall. The leading teams have consolidated their positions in the top 10. But the most talked about list is the injury list. How many cars will actually make it all the way down under? After 5 days and more than 2,500 kilometres of driving, including 100 kilometres of the timed special stages, the leaderboard has a familiar ring to it. Blomqvist and Rainsford have stretched their lead to 18 seconds from Mouton and Tuthill. The Bates-Britton team and the Mikolas make up the top 4, which has gained a jump on the rest of the field. 3.5 minutes splits first from 10th, and there's plenty of hours between the entire list of remaining competitors. The final kilometres through Hungary sweep the drivers through fields dotted with farmers breaking their backs for a living. Nothing much has changed here for 50 years. As the drivers reach the Hungary-Romania border, Chip Johns finds the going tough. Forget the engine, manpower is what's needed now. Once into Romania, this event, so dominated by horsepower, is no match for the leisurely paced cow power. Romania is a poor cousin to the other countries the drivers have passed through. It's fighting for more recognition, but it won't be a short fight. Politics and the economy have not made it easy for the people here. Yet they are rich with spirit when the rally passes through. The streets of Targa-Jiu swell with onlookers. For many teams, this is a memory that will never fade. Now, 5 days into the rally, Australia's Peter Cochran has had time to assess the event.
Well, Peter, we're now on the end of day 5 of the rally. How are you settling in?
Yeah, very nicely. This is going very well. Today was a good day. And no, we lot of transport today. The first 2 stages today were good, and we enjoyed it. And just settling into it, it's very comfortable. Car's going well.
Would his brother and V8 Supremo Tony Cochran like to bring an event to this stretch of the world?
Now, do you think you might ever get your brother involved in this event?
Oh, well, I reckon this would be the ideal spot for him. In fact, I reckon you should take a few shots of the hotels and that. I think Tony should be V8 racing here. I think it's the ideal place to be.
Day 6. The crews farewell the rolling hills of Romania and head through Bulgaria on their way to Kavala in Greece. It's a long day of driving, 741 kilometres, and special stages of 11 and 12 kilometres. The drain of such a distance doesn't affect Stig Blomqvist. Each day, he and Ben Rainsford take more small steps away from their chasers. Today is no exception. They finish first and second in the 2 stages. It's a good day for Bates and Britton. Their 9:11 equals Blomqvist's time on the first stage. A 3rd placing in the 2nd stage sees the Australian pair jump into 2nd spot overall. Into 3rd with another impressive display. One of the most important lessons that rookie Juha will learn from his father during this rally is to be patient. Hannu has the experience to keep his car within the limits. But the limits are stretched to disaster for Michel Mouton. She spins her car on the first stage in a mistake that will cost her 4 minutes and drop her back to 8th place overall.
Come on, get push! Push! Come on! Push!
I thought it was too open. It was not so open, so the back of the car went a little bit in the ditch, but I was still the front wheel on the road. Unfortunately, we were on the bank, and I couldn't go off front wheel or backwards, so we lost a lot of time there. We didn't touch anything. The car was perfect, and we need to have help from people to come and push, but they didn't want to push from the beginning. Push behind!
Warning!
There!
Come backwards!
Huh?
Come backwards!
I cannot!
Come backwards, Michelle.
I
please.
cannot!
Why not?
Because it's not going!
Okay.
Push! Lift!
Okay. No one going! Push!
Push!
Go on, chaps.
Push!
Push!
Francis! Lift the front and I reverse!
No, Pat, hey. Okay, then we just push now. Ready, go and try now. Try back. Go, push. Yeah, good. All the way. Wait.
There, Francis! There!
Go back a
there.
little bit, yes. Stop now. Stop. Around. Yeah.
Such an accident can prove the difference between winning and losing when the cars finally reach Sydney.
Shit.
Never mind.
It's a much better day for the quiet achievers, Mike Corns and Anna Goni in their Escort. In the top 10 since the rally began, today is just another day of getting the job done with no fuss. They finish 5th and 7th. It's the best day so far and enough to push them into 6th place overall. In car 16, Richard Martin Hurst and Tony Devontier keep on proving they are the best of the rest, with another impressive display, moving into 4th. Whilst Ray Bellum and Pasquale Lazonte consolidate their position in the top 10. Andrew Hayden and Mark Soloway were forced to finish stage 12 with a punctured tyre. At the end of day 6, there are no real surprises. Blomqvist and Rainsford have further increased their lead, and the only real change from the previous day is the slide down the ranks by the Mutol Tahil Porsche, now 4.5 minutes off the lead. The crews spend their final few kilometres in Romania staring at the old-fashioned wells that bob up and down like birds drinking at a lake's edge. Then it's into Greece. The first week of the rally is fast coming to an end, and the drivers see this part as the farewell stage to Europe. Day 7. If it's possible for these people to have jet lag without leaving the ground, they must surely have it. Almost every day they rise before dawn, drive away the daylight hours and finish in darkness. Many of the teams didn't arrive in Kavala until well into the night. They are grateful today is a relatively short 404-kilometre trip to Çanakkale in Turkey. But the stages are longer, 26 kilometres, the biggest stage so far, and 20 kilometres. It's a familiar story on the tar. The Blomqvist Piranha is just too powerful for the chasers on the first stage. It finishes 8 seconds ahead of the Piranha driven by Richard Martin Hurst, who enjoys his best day of the marathon.
guess pretty much until we reach Australia, we're always going to be saying there's still a long way to go, but are you happy with your progress so far, and are things going to plan?
Yes, things are going very much to plan. The car is going well. We wanted to be somewhere just behind the professionals, and of course when you get to Australia the distances are not seconds, they become minutes and tens of minutes on some of the stages.
But revenge for the smaller cars on the tight twisting second stage. Mikkola is superb, clocking the fastest time. The rally tyres on his Escort are wearing down and gripping the harder surfaces much better than they were at the start of the rally. Rick Bates maintains second position overall with a solid performance in both stages. But for much of the circuit, he thinks he's driving with a puncture. At the finish, he's surprised to find no tyre problems at all. The road's slippery surface has played tricks with his mind, as it does with many competitors who have similar thoughts. But the roads aren't the major hazards. Some drivers are forced to slow for tortoises. And Terry Daly's Mustang goes for a spin after sliding through cow packs. It seems horsepower doesn't always win. Michelle Mouton knows all about accidents. It's catch-up time after her disastrous drop from the leaders on day 6. She fights hard to regain that time.
We know that you're a fighter, so, I mean, you feel confident that you can achieve that catch-up game?
Yeah, I feel very confident, and first, you know, I am fighting, but not in this rally. I want to go to Sydney, so I take it, you know, like it come. I try to enjoy it, and if I enjoy it normally, I shouldn't be too slow.
Thankfully, there are no more problems for her, and she jumps from 8th to 7th overall, although still a long way from Blomqvist. Following the puncture on day 6, Haddon and Soloway are enjoying every moment of the rally. So, at the end of the first week of driving, 34 seconds separates the Piranha of Blomqvist and the Porsche of Bates, with just a further 3 seconds back to the Mikkolas. There are 4 911s in the top 10, 2 Capris and Escorts, 1 Mustang and 1 per... Week 2 is here, from Turkey across Asia. The only certainty is, expect the unexpected. When the crews cross the Greek border into Turkey, a special feeling will soon touch the Australian and New Zealand drivers. It is in this country during the Great War that many thousands of lives were lost. Nowadays, the serenity of Gallipoli is a haunting contrast to what took place when the Anzacs landed on the beaches.
It's a little bit unreal about being here, I guess. You hear about it so many times, and all those things, and to actually go there is just a little bit eerie, I guess.
Australians Rex and Gary Leeson are deeply affected. They inspect the endless rows of headstones at Lone Pine. Many of the soldiers who died here were boys, or only just men.
When you look at it and you think of the beach and they landed and then they came up against the wall and the Turks from the top firing down, I mean, that's pretty tough stuff, and you've got to take your hat off to them, and I reckon that's the greatest thing about it is it's such a great memorial in the national park, and the Turkish people are behind it, and yeah, it's a great place, great place.
Left sweeps right round.
Well, we're here, 5-7 days into the event, and we've had a few little problems, but yeah, we're 1 week out of 4, so we can't be asking for any more than that.
Here it comes up now.
They have had a good start to the race, consistently finishing in the top 20. A pleasing performance.
Like that, okay, sharp right, coming up now, comes around, and then we've got a couple of dips, okay, 720. just adjusting to the competitiveness of it. I haven't done a lot of it, but I'm surprised that, you know, it's full on every day. You know, you don't really get a chance until tomorrow, where we have a lay day, of relaxing. It's nice to travel along, but you've still got to cover those kilometres to get to your night stops and fix the car and check the car over and, you know.
Working at your left from your right.
You didn't have to say that.
The second week of the marathon begins in much tougher conditions than the first. Turkey's narrow roads and 30-degree heat will be a test for each of the remaining 90 teams. It's a critical time for the leading competitors. Blomqvist and Rainsford are building a handy buffer at the front, and the pressure is growing on the chasers to start hauling the pace setters in. None try harder than Hannu Mikkola. Mikkola pushes his escort to the limit all day and is rewarded by slicing 19 seconds off Blomqvist's lead. He makes up an incredible 30 seconds on the second stage, and in high praise, he rates the stage as good as any in the prestigious Corsica Rally. It is the most trying day of the marathon. The two 21-kilometre stages are part of a 603-kilometre trek from Çanakkale to Pamukkale. Melting tar sticks to the sides of the roads like molasses.
We're sitting here in Turkey. We've got quite a few days here in Turkey before we begin the Asian leg. What is your plan from here?
Well, we've done one thing on the car which the others haven't done. We've put a frame on the back so we can carry 4 tyres. So on the days where we get mixed gravel and tarmac, we'll put the right tyres on for those days. We have a weight penalty, but I think it's probably a little safer. And so we'll try and keep near the top using that strategy.
Open hairpin right. Into open hairpin left.
The Bates Britain Porsche is one of many to spin on the second stage. But among the headaches, some beaming faces. Mouton continues her determined climb back into contention, finishing 3 seconds behind Mikkola on the second stage and a sizable 26 seconds ahead of Blomqvist.
And the car, it's holding up well?
Yes, the car is perfect and we are perfect, so it's okay so far.
Mike Corns remains in touch with yet another consistent day. He is 7th overall and closing in on the top 5. The stretch between 1st and 10th is now almost 10 minutes. But after Mikkola's dream day, Blomqvist's position at the top is not as comfortable as it was. Ernest Harak and Michael Kolbach hold on to 10th spot in their Peugeot, but they are just 5 seconds ahead of their nearest rival. As the crews all enjoy their final moments in the sun, the night belongs to a veteran of the race. Missing in action since day one, a welcome mat is thrown out for a popular rally favourite.
It's great to be here, I tell you.
For Bruce Hodgson and Steve Wall, it had been a long journey, alone on the road to redemption.
Well, we certainly made up our mind we weren't going to be out of the event, and it was a bit of a hard run because we actually got a temporary repair done and headed off into France, and then we had to turn around and go back again because we realised we weren't going to make it within the official time to stay in the event competitively. And we left on Wednesday night. We've done 5,482 kilometres in 4 days. Only had one night off in Germany. We decided we'd have a night in the pub.
Brucey went down a few days ago and we both got pretty upset. But then realised that we had a target, so we just ground on. Driving through the night, through some of those Romanian roads was just fantastic. Sticking to the speed limit all the time, of course.
They rejoin the field and run at the back of the pack for the rest of the rally. After a well-earned rest day, the drivers are back in action. Day 10 will take them to Alanya, and for the first time in the marathon, there will be 3 stages spread over the 553-kilometre journey. This is a day for complete caution. There are dangers at every turn, and none greater than unprotected cliff edges on roads that seem little wider than windowsills. For the second day running, Hannu Mikkola relishes the going. After finishing 4th in the first stage on gravel, he is unbeatable on the following 2 tar stretches. His performance on the final stage, a 22-kilometre burst over a mountaintop, is one of the best from any driver in the rally so far. He takes 24 seconds off Blomqvist and is just 9 seconds from the leader overall. Unlike Mikkola, Blomqvist's best performance comes in stage 1. He wins on the gravel, but his V8 can't handle the tight downhill sections leading into the coastal stop Alanya. With Mikkola breathing down his neck, the pressure is building. Rick Bates and Jenny Britton are the day's most consistent performers, finishing 2nd in all 3 stages, despite spinning on the 3rd. Michelle Mouton slips into 4th overall with another pleasing day. She is methodically making amends for her problems on day 6. In what is undoubtedly one of the best mechanical feats of the marathon, Howard Lawton's Mercedes is back in the race after a team of 10 worked through the rest day and all night to repair the suspension damage sustained on day 8. 19 stages are over, and the battle for places is the tightest it's been since the rally left London. Blomqvist and Rainsford just 9 seconds ahead of the informed Mikkola team. Rick Bates and Jenny Britton a further 1 minute 6 seconds behind in 3rd. There's a big drop to Mouton in 4th spot, but the Frenchwoman's hold on the position is fragile. She and Frances Tuthill are only 1 second ahead of the Capri Piranha, driven by Richard Martin Hurst and Tony Devontier. The Datsun 240Z of Simon Lingford and David Moyer makes up the top 10. Day 11. 645 kilometres from Alanya to Nevishere. The stages are 22 and 23 kilometres, and nearly all interest is on the two Scandinavian drivers who are going toe-to-toe at the front of the field. Hannu Mikkola scrapes off another 11 seconds off Blomqvist in the first stage to briefly take the overall lead, but he surrenders it soon afterwards when Blomqvist wins the second stage by 3 seconds. Neither driver is willing to give the other an inch. The London to Sydney Marathon is shaping as being a walk along the tightrope all the way to the finish. Michelle Mouton is third fastest on both stages. Every day she is making amends for her day 6 spin-out. Mouton's efforts are putting more pressure on Bates and Britton. They lose 13 seconds to their Porsche rival after they struggle on the steep climbs of the second stage. Terry Daly and Bob Brill, driving the only Mustang in the top 10, are beginning to worry about tyre conservation. They hope they have enough rubber to keep them going until they arrive in Thailand, another 5 days away. But the Mustang is still clocking fast times. For Ray Bellum, experiencing his first rally, every stage is a classroom, and he is proving a fast learner in his 911. He and co-driver Pascal Lazonte are 9th overall, little more than 13 minutes behind Blomqvist and Rainsford. Willie Polsnig in another Porsche and the Datsun pair of Simon Lingford and David Moyer also impress on a relatively trouble-free day for the leading pack. So, at the end of 313 kilometres of special stages, only 1 second separates the Blomqvist Piranha from Mikkola's Escort. Despite the increasing threat of Mouton, Bates and Britton remain in third position with a comfortable 3.5-minute buffer over the Frenchwoman. Day 12, a 643-kilometre journey from Nevishere to Samsun. And for the second time in the marathon, there are 3 stages, stretching between 17 and a long and testing 32 kilometres on gravel.
Okay, 450 metres, keep left that junction. Meters, keep left that junction. Nothing for 4 kilometers.
With Blomqvist in his sights, Hannu Mikkola and his son switch to Dunlop A2 tyres, and the decision pays handsomely. Despite breaking an exhaust manifold and battling starter motor problems, the Escort takes 2 of the stages and catapults the Mikkolas into the lead for the first time in the marathon.
.380 meters, K right into narrow bridge and K left. 100 meters, K right into narrow bridge, K left.
The Mikkola team's charge means Blomqvist and Rainsford drop from the lead for the first time since day 2. Among the most impressive performers, Ollie Clark and Damon Harvey. After engine problems earlier in the rally, their Escort is back to full speed, finishing just a second behind the Mikkolas on the second stage. A tyre puncture a kilometre from the finish robs them of the top time. It's just another day at the office for Mouton, who saves her best until last, clocking the fastest time on the third stage. But Bates also has a good day, and his consistency is rewarded. He and Britton finished the day a further 8 seconds ahead of Mouton. Mike Corns and Anna Goni are proving them fine achievers in their Escort. Their trouble-free day sweeps them into 6th overall, ahead of the Daily Brill Mustang. Story of the day belongs to Ray Bellum and Pascal Lazante. They dropped from 9th to 14th after a rock spitting out from under the tyres on the gravel stage flies up and cracks a brake line. Day 13, and 89 of the original field of 95 teams begin their final day in Turkey. 643 kilometres from Sansun to the capital, Ankara.
"300 metres to rough. 100 metres to rough. 200 metres to caution, slight right over brow. We have 8 kilometres to the finish."
It's another successful day for the Mikkolas. They win both stages to extend their lead. Blomqvist and Rainsford keep in touch with the new leaders, finishing second on the first stage. Bates and Britton are the bridesmaids on the second stage. It's the final stage before the marathon moves into Asia. So, as the teams prepare to move east, the Mikolas are heading north on the leaderboard. 1 minute 2 seconds ahead of Blomqvist and Rainsford. Bates and Britton are nearly 2 minutes further behind. The quiet achievers, Simon Lingford and David Moyer in their Datsun 240Z, are clinging onto ninth spot, just 19 seconds ahead of Ernst Harrack and Michael Kolbach. Day 16. The field is back in action after flying the cars into Thailand and then having a rest day. Today, the teams cover 660 kilometres from Chiang Mai to Phetchabun. The two stages are 23 and 27 kilometres. Hannu and Juha Mikkola continue to dominate and increase their overall lead. They're third fastest on the opening stage and quickest on the second. Despite recent heavy rains, the two gravel stages are trouble-free for most competitors. Blomqvist looks set for a good day after winning the opening stage, but his Piranha causes concern on the second. High engine temperatures force the driver to back off.
Okay, the route has been very, very good, I must say. Okay, the heat was a little bit of a problem for us on the second stage, and then we should have changed the rear tires between the stages because the tires ran out halfway through the last one, but otherwise it was going well.
Bates and Britton are the day's most consistent performers, finishing second on both starts to retain a comfortable margin over Mouton. It's also a pleasing day for the Mike Corns-driven Ford Escort, tapping on the shoulder of the top 5 overall. But the grind of the marathon is taking its toll on other Escort teams. Ollie Clark and Damon Harvey and Andrew Haddon and Mark Soloway are penalised 2 minutes at the start of the day for arriving late. Both teams slept in.
The climate's really hot. It is sticky, hard work. Struggling catching dust, catching a lot of dust with the cars in front of us at the moment. That's the biggest problem.
At the end of the first day in Thailand, there are no changes at the top. Hannu and Juha Mikkola are 67 seconds ahead of Blomqvist and Rainsford. The Bates, Mouton and Richard Martin Hurst teams round out the top 5. day 17 and a long journey ahead. 717 kilometres from Phetchabun to Cha Am. The 21 and 20 kilometre stages have been affected by recent rain. No team is affected more by the conditions than the Mikolas.
"100 meters, turn 90 left off of main road. 160 meters, turn 90 left at junction. 100 meters, turn 90 left at junction. 130 meters, straight on through junction."
Their escort spins out on the first stage and ends up near a lake. Spectators are needed to help push the car back on its way, but not before 7.5 minutes are lost. The Mikolas' mistake hands the lead back to Blomqvist and Rainsford. Porsche 911, driven by Rick Bates and Jenny Britton, also leap ahead of the luckless Mikolas. But any chance of the recent leaders seeking some revenge on the second stage are literally washed away. The rains have made the road impassable, and officials have no option but to cancel stage 29 of the marathon. Day 19, 412 kilometres, ending at Sungai Petani in Malaysia, the 13th country visited by the marathon teams. The two stages are short, 14 kilometres and just 10. It's a blessing for the drivers who find the conditions uncomfortable. 35 degrees Celsius and at least 80% humidity. The cars suddenly become mobile saunas.
200 meters, turn hairpin left off of main road. 100 meters, turn hairpin left off of main road. 1 kilometer, 450 meters to next instruction.
90 cars remain in the event as they slide their way along narrow dirt roads through the sugar plantations that dot this part of the country. For Blomqvist, success is the sweetest taste of all. He steers his Piranha to victory on both stages to extend his overall lead. With less than a fortnight remaining in the rally, he and co-driver Ben Rainsford can afford slight but cautious smiles. They have had no major problems with their car since the rally began.
No, okay, the road suited the car very well because it was very fast between the junction, and so the car is going very well on those kind of roads.
Bates and Britton remain in second place on a mixed day for many teams. Some come through unscathed, others struggle every kilometre. Among those to come to grief are Terry Daly and Bob Brill. Their usually pristine Mustang needs a bath after going wide on one corner. So, after 19 days and 32 stages, Blomqvist and Rainsford hold a 2-minute lead over Bates and Britton. The Mikolas are left rueing their mistake on day 17. They are now 6 minutes 21 seconds behind. They need the leaders to suffer some misfortune for a change over the final days of the marathon. Day 20 and 2 more short stages for competitors. The 11 and 18 kilometre sprints are part of a 462 kilometre trip that leads to that famous Malaysian motorcycling name, Shah Alam.
140 metres crest and keep left, caution narrow. 100 metres crest and keep left, caution narrow.
The first stage on rolling gravel roads offers the smaller cars a chance to shine, and none are brighter than Nikola's Escort.
Do not overshoot. 200 metres, caution, keep left off main road. Downhill, do not overshoot. Coming here, caution, keep left off main road. Downhill, do not overshoot. 210 metres, turn left onto main road. Turn left onto main road. And immediately turn 90 left and 20 meters, turn 90 right before gate. 420 meters, turn 90 left.
Hanu throws caution out the window on his way to the fastest stage 1 time, 20 seconds ahead of the pack. Michel Mouton, who, like the Mikolas, knows only too well what accidents can do to your chances, wins the second stage on tar. It's a remarkable win too. In the countdown to the start, co-driver Francis Tuthill raced the clock to repair a misfiring engine.
What I can say that I didn't like the first one so much because it was very tricky. And on top of that, we have a problem with the ignition, so the car was not running properly. And the second one, the asphalt one, was quite good, a little bit too fast, I would say, but, you know, it was difficult, I think, for the driver not to have the proper tires to go on this stage. I was lucky I had some mixed tires, and I could go quite well, so it was okay for me.
Blomqvist's Piranha struggles. The V8 may be powerful, but its strength is offset by lack of mobility on the tight roads. It can do no better than 5th on the opening stage and surrenders a sizable 44 seconds to Mikola. But the more significant time loss comes between Blomqvist and Bates.
It was fairly tight, a lot of press in there, so it was quite hard to read. So just had to really use a little bit of caution in there, otherwise it could end up quite disastrous. Hanu was quickest for the day. He made a bit of time on me, so he's probably about 3 minutes 30 behind me now. I made 22 seconds on Stig. That gap has stayed fairly static. Stig's made time on me some days. I've made time on him, and it stayed around the minute 30 to minute 40 mark. So, yeah, so that's not a bad day.
Yates closes the gap by 22 seconds. Just 1 minute 45 separates first from second overall. 27 minutes first from 10th. The closest battle is between 8th and 9th. Willie Polsnik's Porsche holds just a 12-second buffer over Simon Lingford's Datsun. The final day in Malaysia comprises 3 stages and a total travelling distance of 431 kilometres. 88 cars are left in the event. For the 3 overall leaders, it was a careful day. Blomqvist setting the fastest time on the second stage, with Mikkela's Escort taking the first.
Meters, turn 90 left, off main road, over, caution, narrow drain, do not overshoot. 150 meters, keep right. 50 meters, keep right.
His chances of taking the second, however, are ruined when he comes across the Bates Porsche blocking the road.
Got 2 problems actually. One is a gearbox problem, which started before I've hit a tree there. That's probably the more major thing. This is just superficial damage. There was a bad dip and a bit of a late call, and the back kicked up and we went sideways and collected a tree, so not a good way to end it at all.
But the big story on a dramatic final day in the Asian leg was the Porsche 911 of South Africans Stanley Illman and Frans Stangl.
It appeared that the Porsche went around the corner, flipped upside down, landed in a ditch full of 1 metre of water. The 2 South African lads were stuck in the car. They managed to swivel around in their seat so they could find a small amount of airspace.
Just behind Illman on the road, and also in the ditch on the second stage, was the big Ford Falcon GT of Gary and Rex Leeson.
We actually turned around after braking and came back to help the Ford, and as we came back they yelled out, "We're okay, but look after the Porsche." And we said, "What Porsche?" And the Porsche was 20 metres away, semi-submerged in the ditch. And if the Ford had not have gone off, no doubt the Porsche would still be there now, because it was so far down the ditch no one could see it.
Following both incidents, the remainder of the stage is cancelled and a scratch time applied to the rest of the field. A frustrating day is compounded when the final stage in Asia is cancelled. It has not been prepared to FIA safety specifications.
Yes, it's a sad day. We don't want to see anyone in the ditch. We don't want to see anyone hurt. We don't want to see any cars out. So it's a sad day, yes.
So, as the London to Sydney Marathon prepares to head down under, Stig Blomqvist and Ben Rainsford hold a comfortable lead of 5 minutes 36 seconds over Hannu Mikkela and his son Juha. Michel Mouton and Francis Tuthill are a further 1 minute 52 behind in 3rd place. The event has taken its toll. Nearly every crew has spent sleepless nights repairing battered cars. This event is a survival of the fittest. It could be called a military operation, because that's exactly why these 2 Russian Antonov cargo carriers were built. For the London to Sydney Marathon competitors, they are the lifeline between missions. Like Noah's Ark, each car is loaded aboard these 2 monoliths of the air and transported over the rising seas to the next destination in the adventure of a lifetime. With a capacity of 50 vehicles at a time, it's goodbye Malaysia and g'day to Darwin. The sights and smells of Australia are a welcome sight for the remaining competitors as the final leg of this epic journey unfolds. Day 24. After a travel and rest day, the London to Sydney Marathon enters its final and in many ways most challenging phase. The long, open, dusty stretches of Australia's outback are ready to test every team. From Darwin to Tennant Creek, 1,158 kilometres, including 15 and 18 kilometre stages. But before a key has been turned, controversy strikes the event. The Mikkela team has penalised 10 minutes for illegal servicing of their Escort during the rest day. It's alleged officials found a mechanic holding a front wheel next to the Mikkela's car. Mikkela plans to protest, But first, he must focus on the day ahead. He finishes second in both stages, but he can't reel in Blomqvist, who increases his overall advantage by clocking the 2 fastest times. The big V8 Piranha rockets to an average speed of 142 kilometres an hour on the second leg. Mouton and Tuthill claimed third on both stages to retain a comfortable lead over Bates and Britton, who are back in the event after rebuilding their Porsche's gearbox following their Malaysian accident.
It's a European car garage in Darwin that were very good because really the guy there was fairly knowledgeable, and it took us till 5 in the morning to fix it, so it was fairly hard work. We started at 6, so I had time to run back, have a shower and have breakfast, and off we headed.
Second is a great position to be in just now. It's happened slightly fortuitously. Other people have had troubles. And Stig, of course, is, one has to say, he's probably cruising at the moment.
A number of teams benefit from the Mikkola penalty. Richard Martin Hurst and Tony Devontier pushed their Piranha Capri into 4th place overall.
Can't see either. Driving, blind. Up you go.
I think that Stig and Michelle are probably too far away for us to catch unless they have a problem. There's a nice little group there that 3, 4 and 5 were the one we're aiming for now.
Road goes slightly left-right over crest. Looked to me like a roo on the side of the road. Looked like someone might have hit a roo.
And Mike Corns and Anna Goni in 5th place suddenly find themselves the leading escort team. Extends his lead in the London to Sydney Marathon. He and Ben Rainsford are now 8 minutes 11 seconds ahead of Mouton and Tuthill, who hold a 2-minute break over Bates and Britton. The Mikkolas dropped to 6th, only 7 seconds behind Corns and Goni. For most teams, this would be a rewarding position, but not for Hannu Mikkola, who remains angry about the penalty. To get the Northern Territory into perspective, it's about the same size as France and Spain put together. It's largely flat and sun-baked. The soil is russet brown. The further south you go, the redder it becomes. As sandy gravel roads wind through gum trees, this is the first real taste of Aussie dust. Day 25. 86 cars make it to the start for a 677-kilometre trek to Alice Springs. Along the way, the drivers will race the clock over 17 and 19-kilometre stages. These fast gravel stages are a thorn for many of the European teams unfamiliar with Australia's harsh conditions. But few complain because the stages are full of fun. Escort takes the honours in the first stage, while Michelle Mouton's 911 is unstoppable in the second.
We set fastest time in the last stage. In fact, we took time off Stig on both the stages today, but you can't claw back 6 or 7 minutes from Stig Blomqvist if he doesn't have a problem. And so it's unrealistic to expect to do that. So the best thing we can do is just show him we're there, So he knows he can't slow down completely. And if we can trickle back the odd minute or two, and then if he had a puncture and then we can go faster, we can definitely go faster, but it isn't, it's still a long way to go.
Blomqvist is cautious on the first stage, claiming only 6th fastest time. He and co-driver Rainsford are wary of the savage dips that are hazards to every car. But becoming more familiar with the conditions, Stig pumps his Capri Piranha harder on the second stage and records 2nd quickest time, 4 seconds behind Mouton's Porsche. Bates and Britton have a steady day, coming 4th and 5th.
Yesterday I was really tired from fixing the car overnight at Darwin. Today went a fair bit better. I've got a broken strut. The car was running a bit warm today, so I'll rectify those tonight. I've already got a scoop made up here for the rear, and I'll just put a new strut in it, so it's going okay. It's fairly dusty, long stages ahead, so anything can still happen.
And Terry Daly and Bob Brill remain in 6th overall after a trouble-free day.
The stages are a bit, the ones yesterday were very dusty, and today they gave us a 2-minute gap, which was excellent. We made up a bit of time today, but we made a lot of time on the car in front of us because it actually rolled a couple of times. So we actually had to slow down and, being the first car on the scene, make sure he was all right and then drive off again. So we probably lost a few seconds there, but I think that's moved us up to 6th now.
But the same can't be said for Mike Corns in his Escort. He and co-driver Anna Goni rolled their car several times. Both escaped serious injury, but Anna is taken to hospital as a precaution. The car is not as fortunate. As many rally teams count down the final days of the marathon, Stig Blomqvist and Ben Rainsford remain the #1 combination. Mouton, Bates, Hurst and Mikkola make up the top 5. Graham Samuel and Tony Phillips in yet another Porsche 911 make up the top 10. Day 26, another hard drive through the heart of Australia, 856 kilometres from the Alice to the opal mining town of Coober Pedy. The 2 stages are long, 48 kilometres and 22. Despite an extended 2-minute interval between each team at the start line, many drivers are troubled by dust, but it doesn't worry Blomqvist, who relishes the conditions. Blomqvist churns through the most trying conditions the outback has to offer to clock fastest and 2nd fastest times. Day 26 proves to be a day of consolidation for Mouton and Tuthill, keeping their Porsche 911 out of trouble and in the hunt.
Nothing for 4 kilometres.
But the 2nd stage is eventually shortened and then stopped. The leading cars churn up sand in a dry riverbed, and the conditions are so bad for the chasers that many become stuck.
Come on, Alistair. Come on, Alistair.
decide the only option is to allocate scratch times to the field based on the slowest time of the cars that manage to finish. Of those to reach the end, Hannu Mikkola negotiates all the tricks to record the fastest time. The Bates Britain Porsche is the slowest of the 5 cars to make it all the way. With a week remaining in the London to Sydney Marathon, Stig Blomqvist knows only a major accident can rob him of victory. He and Rainsford are 10.5 minutes clear of Mouton and Tuthill. Bates and Britton are the leading Australians, but are being pressured for a prestigious top 3 spot by the Mikkolas, who trail by just 46 seconds. Day 27, 862 kilometres from Coober Pedy to Port Augusta. The 2 stages are 29 and 28 kilometres. And despite being a long way from home and unfamiliar with the conditions, the Europeans, in particular the Scandinavians, dominate again. Hannu Mikkola wins the first stage and Stig Blomqvist the second. Both drivers enjoy the challenges of Down Under. Blomqvist is the more cautious. He's wary of the damage the big dips can do to his Capri if it bottoms out over a rise. While Blomqvist and Rainsford appear to have the marathon sewn up, the battle for minor placings is anything but settled. Bates and Britton are third on both stages. The performance good enough to hold off Mikkola, but the gap is closing. Mouton and Tuthill remain in second place, still more than 11 minutes from the lead. Martin Hurst and Devontier finished the day's 2 stages in 5th and 7th place respectively, keeping them in the top 5 overall.
Okay, in 500 we've got a caution.
The All-Australian pair of Simon Lingford and David Moyer are 5th and 6th quickest. Their performance in this rally has been outstanding, and they are now 7th overall in their Datsun 240Z.
So that's 300 to caution crest, then road goes left, then right. It's in 100. We'll see it. Okay, and then 70 metres, double caution, 2 dips.
The Mustang of Terry Daly and Bob Brill is 6th overall. At the top of the field, Stig Blomqvist and Ben Rainsford continue to increase their lead over Mouton and Tuthill. Only 9 seconds separates Bates and Mikkola in the tussle for third. 42 minutes, 19 seconds, split first from 10th. Day 28, 605 kilometres from Port Augusta in South Australia to the outback mining city of Broken Hill in New South Wales. This is one of the toughest days of the marathon. 3 stages, 45 and 34 kilometres, then one of the longest timed stretches of the event, a gruelling 77 kilometres. It is the worst day of the trip for the Mikolas. Overnight, they were told their protest for a 10-minute penalty was dismissed. And if that was bad news, worse is to follow.
We got 10 minutes because of illegal service, I was told. And I don't actually know yet what really happened there, because I was not in the garage that time, and as you know, I have 2 mechanics following me all the time in another car that it's okay to service my car by those 2 guys, so I don't know.
Only 4 kilometres into the first stage, their escort stops in a water crossing.
When we were crossing one of these rivers, or quite a lot of water, and it just stopped, and it took us 5 hours to find what was wrong with it.
All the hard work of the previous stages now seems a very distant memory. Problems too for Stig Blomqvist with a puncture on the second stage. He loses 4.5 minutes to Rick Bates, but makes amends in the final leg. Mouton and Tuthill also have tyre problems. They complete the last 20 kilometres of the first stage with a flat front tyre, allowing Bates and Britton to move a minute closer and within reach of second spot. On a day of dramas for many competitors, problems too for Richard Martin Hurst and Terry Devontier.
We had a little bit of problem on the first one. We got stuck behind Hanu, who got stuck in the water. We went to the left, it's a bit deep, and we also stalled. We got going again, and unfortunately, but just over the maximum when we got to the end of the stage. Second one was good. We got second fastest time. And then at the end of that, we started hearing the wheel rubbing, and the spring and shock absorber mount had broken off the bottom arm. And so we elected to come back and change the arm rather than try and go through and do any further damage.
The chances of leaping up the leaderboard for the Porsche 911 of Ray Bellum and Pasquale Lazonte come to an end when they roar into the first stage with the heater on. With a car full of steam, they drive off the road into a ditch and up a bank, spending crucial minutes digging themselves out of trouble. Minutes, 22 seconds, split second from third in the battle between the 2 Porsche teams. It is then a long drop back to 4th place Andrew Haddon and Mark Soloway and their escort, 54 minutes behind Blomqvist. 67 minutes now separates the top 10. Day 29, Broken Hill to Wagga Wagga, 853 kilometres with 2 very different stages. The first is over just 11 twisting kilometres. The second, a gruelling 83 kilometres, all on gravel. Holding such a comfortable lead, Blomqvist and Rainsford know they need only drive sensibly, and the title will be theirs in 3 days' time. The Capri Piranha finishes 6th fastest on the opening stage and is 3rd quickest on the 2nd.
No, okay, you never know in this business. Everything can happen, but okay. Of course, now looks a bit better. Okay, where the car is good and where the road is good, we push a bit, but where it's a bit rough and things, we really take it easy now.
Mouton pushes her Porsche hard all day and is rewarded with the winning time in the first stage. She and co-driver Frances Tuthill refuse to give up hope of snatching victory in this rally, but they know it is unlikely.
I just want to go to Sydney. If we are second, we are second. If we are third, we are third. If we are first, we are first. We don't look for that. We are just trying to keep the car running well without any problem from the start to up to now. We didn't change anything. The car is perfect, and I am very pleased with the car and with Francis, of course, and he had done a very good job, and it's really relaxing to drive a car with strong and you feel everything is okay.
Despite being out of top 3 contention, Hannu Mikkola shows why he's one of the most respected rally drivers in the world.
Then triple caution hump, then grid on hump. Triple caution. 630 meters.
He burns up the second stage to record fastest time at a hair-raising average speed of 124 kilometres an hour. Mikkola is 32 seconds faster than the nearest chasers, Ollie Clark and Damon Harvey.
Australia, like, as we go through the stages, learning so much and really enjoying it. So, you know, I've got nothing to lose, just having a good giggle, really.
All the drivers enjoy the long straights of the second stage, with top speeds hovering around 200 kilometres an hour.
We lost 10 minutes to a guy like Ollie Clark, but he's nearly an hour behind. But we lost 5 minutes to the guy who was... We lost 7 minutes to the guy who was behind us, who was 6 minutes. So we're now, we think, a minute behind him. But that's not a problem. We'll get that back tomorrow because we just like to attack. And we didn't like to back off for fourth, even though the class was safe. But the rally's not over yet. Not till that fat lady starts singing.
With just 2 days remaining in this motorsport epic, Blomqvist and Rainsford are comfortably ahead of Mouton and Tuthill. Bates and Britton are a further 5 minutes behind with a secure grip on third. Day 30, and officials shorten the day from 3 to 2 stages because of slippery conditions. Many teams have trouble, but not Mouton and Tuthill. It is their day, winning one stage and finishing third in the other. steady as she goes for Blomqvist with 6th and 5th fastest times. Mikkola continues to storm home, claiming the honours in the second stage. Driving with unmatched determination following the dramas of previous days, Hannu proves you can take the Mikkolas out of the rally, but you can't take the rally out of the Mikkola. Day for Ollie Clark and Damon Harvey in their escort. They came second in both stages, but others are not as fortunate. Bates and Britain Porsche stays out of trouble to clock 3rd and 4th best times. So, as the teams return to Wagga Wagga, the news is Blomqvist and Rainsford have lost some of their lead. Mouton and Tuthill are now 6 minutes 16 seconds behind. Simon Lingford and David Moyer are 3.5 minutes ahead of Andrew Haddon and Mark Soloway in the battle for 4th. Day 31, 274 kilometres from Wagga Wagga to Canberra. There are 11, 21 and 12 kilometre stages that prove to be some of the most enjoyable of the entire rally. Blomqvist continues his caution before fun approach, yet still manages to increase his lead over Mouton. Only a disaster can now rob the Piranha team of overall victory. Stig and co-driver Ben Rainsford finished 3rd in 2 of the stages.
Yeah, we are just going through and trying not to have any trouble with puncture or things like that, and maybe to enjoy the stage because it looks good. Not surprisingly, Rick Bates throws his Porsche around the forest tracks as though there's no tomorrow. Bates is a Canberra local and has spent as many hours in these parts as the local wildlife. He wins one stage, comes second in another.
200 and 100, long keep right to 2.5. Straight on down, just 100 kilometre and a half.
Hannu Mikkola is another to dismiss a safety-first approach. He throws his escort into the second last day of the rally with more than a small sense of daring. He wins 2 stages and comes second in the other. Many of the 78 cars remaining in the event are tired and battered. Despite having gear problems in their escort, 5th placed Andrew Haddon and Mark Soloway pushed their car to the limit. They cut 38 seconds from 4th placed Simon Lingford and David Moyer, who continue to cling to 4th spot in their Datsun 240Z. They are proving the size of the fight in the dog is more important than the size of the dog. After a stint in the wilderness, the Mustang of Terry Daly and Bob Brill make it back into the top 10 with a consistent day, and Ollie Clark and Damon Harvey also perform well with 4th and 5th placings. But with 1 day remaining, the Capri Piranha, driven by Stig Blomqvist and Ben Rainsford, is the most talked about car in the competition. It has handled all the conditions with few problems and is now on the verge of sweeping its team into Sydney in 1st place. Day 32, the final day. Only 408 kilometres and stages over 12 and 9 kilometres stand between the teams and the finish line at the Sydney Opera House. All the hard work is almost over. Despite holding a seemingly unassailable lead, Blomqvist and Rainsford have some last-minute stutters. A puncture on the final stage leaves them with a dilemma. Do they change the tyre and sacrifice time, or do they drive on and limp to the finish? They chose the latter, and by the time their Piranha finishes in 29th position, there is little left of a battered rim. But the decision had been worth it. Michel Mouton can make up only 30 seconds. Bates and Britton continue to push their Porsche all the way, but no one can match Hannu Mikkola, who proves the rally's entertainer. He may not finish in the top 10, but his driving is worth a 10. The closest battle in the top 5 is between the Lingford-Moyer Datsun in 4th place, just a few trails of dust ahead of the Haddon-Soloway Escort. The Datsun hangs on. 16,800 kilometres and 32 days after leaving London, this test of mechanical and human endurance is over. 78 cars finish, and the number 1 is the Capri Piranha, driven by Sweden's Stig Blomqvist and his Australian partner Ben Rainsford. They finish 5 minutes 26 seconds ahead of the French Porsche combination, Michel Mouton and Francis Tuthill. Rick Bates and Jenny Britton are a further 4 minutes back in 3rd. Simon Lingford and David Moyer finish 4th in their 240Z, and Andrew Haddon and Mark Soloway make up the top 5. The remaining positions in the top 10 belong to Willie Polsnig and Wolfgang Diakowski in 6th, Pat Cole and David Callahan 7th, Ray Bellum and Pasquale Lazate 8th, Joseph Pointinger and Wolfgang Nolscher 9th, and finishing 10th are Terry Daly and Robert Brill in their Ford Mustang. After 34 days and 16,000 kilometres, the marathon is over. It wasn't just a race, but a journey through different times and cultures. It all began in London. 95 crews and their cars crossed the Thames and were soon on their way over a wider stretch of water, the English Channel, the pathway to Europe. These classic cars, all pre-1971, were not only tested by the ever-changing conditions, but by the drivers. All knew how to push their entries to the limit, and some were left ruining their decisions to push beyond it.
Shit.
Never mind.
France, Germany, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania, Greece. The countries flashed by like kilometres on the speedometer. On to Turkey, for the Australians and New Zealanders, a country of special significance. The Anzac spirit, trapped forever in the hills, beaches and waters of Gallipoli. The rally continued east. Asia presented new scenery and new challenges. And all throughout, one crew proved the one to beat. Finland's Stig Blomqvist and Australian Ben Rainsford in their Ford Capri Piranha. Each crew in this marathon paid $36,000 US to enter. Forget the greenback. By the time the competitors reached Australia, the outback was where the money was, the make or break time. Long, dusty stretches, high speeds and high risks. And all the while, Blomqvist and Rainsford were the ones to bank on. From London to Sydney, 59 special stages in all, 1,300 kilometres, and one winner. For the others, a mixture of emotions.
But this event is excellent. The competition from ex-world champions was there. We were keeping up with them, in good positions most of the way. We've had a bit of damage to the car and a few problems that's delayed us, but third's great.
Are you happy with the result?
Of course, I am very happy for Francis because he did a very good job on this car. And for him to finish 93 first and second in year 2000, I think it's good. And I am happy I could drive him up to here, yeah.
And there was, of course, a tinge of disappointment. The London to Sydney Marathon over. But another challenge lies ahead. Many of these cars and crews will be back for the Cape to Cape Marathon in 2002, Norway to South Africa. And they all know, like the 34 days they have just spent on the road, time will pass quickly. And they'll be back at the starting line before they can say the experience of a lifetime.